Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Cook County Bar Association live on CAN TV. I'm your host for this evening. My name is Christina Spires. I'm a senior at the University of Illinois at Chicago, currently pursuing my bachelor's in criminology with a minor in psychology. Here with me today is special guest Mr. Samuel Jackson III.
Hello.
Mr. Jackson was born and raised in the city of Chicago, attending elementary school in the Woodlawn neighborhood. After attending elementary school in the Woodlawn neighborhood, he attended St. Ignatius, and after that, he went to DePaul to obtain his law degree, and now is currently a criminal defense attorney, practicing law in Illinois with a main focus in Cook County. We're taking questions today. The topic for today is criminal law. If you have any questions, feel free to call in at the number provided below the screen, 312-738-1060. Mr. Jackson, take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Spires. As we said, we will be discussing criminal law today. Do you want to do the intro?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Oops. Okay. If you need an attorney or legal assistance, please give us a call at the Cook County Bar Association. Select 1 for our lawyer referral programs, and we'll refer you to any attorney that can help you. You can also be referred to a lawyer by going to our new improved website at www.cookcountybar.org. As you may or may not know, the Cook County Bar Association is the oldest association of African American lawyers and judges in America. We take this time every week on Mondays at 6:30 to bring you special guests to discuss legal topics and provide you with helpful legal information. Before we begin our discussion, we must inform you that the views and opinions here tonight does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Cook County Bar Association, its board members, officers, or the sponsors. Take it away, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Ms. Spires. Well, they need to give you that disclosure as lawyers because today we will be discussing criminal law, but particularly firearms in the city of Chicago. That's firearms with alcohols and drugs sometimes as well. So my views are my views alone, and they'd like me to express that immediately. With that said, firearms in the city of Chicago, a hot button issue. But let's talk about legal gun ownership tonight. So how does it begin? Well, I won't bore you with too much of the history, but we all know that the Second Amendment gives us all the right to bear arms. And through the Constitution, which is in the Constitution, of course, and through the Constitution, states pass their individual laws to determine how its residents can exercise that right to bear arms. So what do you need to do in order to be a legal gun owner in the state of Illinois, particularly the city of Chicago, Cook County? Well, first and foremost, you need what's called a FOID card, a firearm owner's identification card. What this does is gives you the ability to legally own a gun, as in you can buy one and transport it to your house per se. So what makes you eligible for that firearm owner identification card? Here's a list of things. Some of them are fairly obvious. One, you can't be a convicted felon. You must not be intellectually disabled. You must not be a fugitive from justice. You must not have renounced your citizenship of the United States, as well as the less common ones, you must not have been convicted of a domestic violence. Come back to us. Now that you know that you are whether or not you are eligible to become a firearm owner, what does it take to actually apply and get approved? Now this list is much simpler. Yes. So in order to actually apply for the FOID card, also firearm owner identification card, all you need is a valid state ID or driver's license, a picture, and $10. If you have these three things, you can send it in, and then within 90 days, the Illinois State Police will issue you a valid FOID card. So what does this FOID card do? What does it mean that you have it? Once you have the FOID card, you can now legally own a gun in the state of Illinois. You can have it in your house, and you can transport it from your house to other places in a non-functioning state. I'll go back to what that means shortly. And you can transport it to other places in order to use it, such as range or other friends' house who allow firearms. A non-functioning state. What that legal jargon really means is that the gun is either unloaded and then placed into the glove compartment or the trunk in the car. The main issue is that you're not immediately able to reach it and it's not loaded. And this is a very important part of the legal test, to be in a non-functioning condition. But let's say now that you own a gun, you want what's called a concealed carry license. What's a concealed carry license? A concealed carry license means that now as a gun owner, you are legally allowed to walk down the streets or outside with your firearm as long as it's tucked away or concealed, hence concealed carry. What are the requirements for this? Well, in 2016, Illinois actually became the last state to legally authorize concealed carry licenses. But better late than never, correct? All right, here are some of the eligibility requirements for that. Yeah, not sure how great you can read this, but this section briefly describes the requirements. It appears to be a little bit less than the FOID card requirements. However, one of the conditions is that you have a valid firearm owner identification card. So, in theory, all of the requirements for the firearm owner identification cards applies to the concealed carry as well. However, there are two main differences to this. One, you have to be at least 21 years old in order to apply for the concealed carry license, as opposed to the FOID card, where if you were 18 and had a parent or guardian who was willing to allow it, they could just sign for you and you can apply for a FOID card at the age of 18. If you did not have a parent or guardian who wanted you to have a gun card, then you also had to wait until 21. However, for the concealed carry, you must not have had 2 or more drinking and driving incidents or any incidents related to drugs within the past 5 years. These are pretty much the only differences for eligibility. And then you must be, go ahead. Next one. What are your requirements in order to obtain the concealed carry license? Well, these requirements are a bit more than just the FOID card, where all you literally needed was a picture, $10, and a valid state ID. Once you want to apply for a concealed carry license, first you have to complete 16 hours of training with a firearm by a licensed firearm instructor. The mindset behind this being, if you intend to walk down the streets of Illinois with a firearm, the state of Illinois wants you to know how to use it. Lastly, you still need to have a valid FOID card, still need the picture, but more importantly, when you apply, you have to also prove the last 10 years of residency, meaning you have to prove the last 10 years of residency in the state of Illinois. One moment.
Okay. Interesting, Mr. Jackson. And if you are just now tuning in to the Cook County Bar Association, we are live at CanTV, www.cantv.org/live. Again, I am your host, Christina Spires, and this is our guest, Mr. Samuel Jackson III. He is taking legal questions at the phone number provided below, 312-738-1060.
All right. As going into the concealed carry thing, we were saying that you need to prove 10 years of residency, that you lived within the state of Illinois. And once you've proven that, they do allow out-of-staters to apply. However, there's a different set of rules we won't be going into today. But all this information can be found on the Illinois State Police website, as well as where you would submit your applications.
Okay, and we have a caller on the line. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, my question is, I have a FOID card, but it expires next year. So I'd like to know what's the procedure to renew my card before it expires.
Okay. So now, assume if it expires next year, you mean you probably had it for at least 9 years. The general FOID card lasts is 10 years. The concealed carry lasts 5 years. But if you want to renew your FOID card, what you have to do now is go onto the Illinois State Police website. And when you get there, you will be given the opportunity to create a username and a password. Once you do that, they will just set up an electronic questionnaire just to make sure you still qualify, such as you have not been convicted of any felonies, no mental institutions, or nothing like that. And once you check all those boxes, you will submit another $10 check or or credit card. And within 90 days, since it's a renewal, within 45 days, you should have a new FOID card in the mail.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Okay.
Again.
I believe we were discussing concealed carries. The last but not least was the fingerprints. For the concealed carry, as in if you apply for the concealed carry, it's not a requirement, but they give you the option of having your fingerprint scanned. The reason is that this is a much thorough background check. However, so if you have a more common name and other people seem to have committed crimes that resemble your names, it can delay your acceptance or denial. However, it gives the state 120 days to determine whether or not to accept or deny you. If you do submit the fingerprints, it only gives the state 90 days and should be a more complete, actual, thorough background of you and you alone. So those are the requirements necessary in order to apply for the concealed carry license. So, assuming now that we are legal, law-abiding gun owners, you have a FOID card, then you went and you got your concealed carry card, what problems could arise? Well, that's why we are here to discuss criminal law, and i.e. the criminal justice system. Alcohol, drugs, and prohibited places. These are generally the three issues that will arise with a person who has a legal license and is brought into the criminal justice system. So let's go and let's start with prohibited places. When the concealed carry first came out, it was intended that certain places would be allowed and certain places would not be allowed for a person, even with the license, to conceal carry. Some of these places that were prohibited were churches, public transportation, and government buildings, such as courthouses and such. These are still in effect, and even if you have a concealed carry license, you cannot take your gun into these places.
Okay, looks like we have a caller. Hello?
Okay, my question was, if you are pulled over by the police, are they required to ask you for a license and registration? If you are pulled over by the police, are they required to ask?
So, sounds like your question is, if you are pulled over by the police, are they required to ask you for a license and registration? They have the option of asking you for a license and registration if they intend to give you a ticket of some sort. Anytime you are pulled over by a cop, they have the right to ask you for a license, and they have the right to ask you for insurance. Presumably the car's registered. I guess that will answer your question. I'm not sure if how exactly you meant that, as if they can ask you out of it or if they have to ask you for these things first. But they can, anytime they pull you over, ask you for your license and registration.
Okay, and if you are just tuning in, this is the Cook County Bar Association live on CAN TV, and we are taking legal calls from the community. If you have any questions, please give us a call at the phone number provided below, 312-738-1060.
All right, thank you. So, speaking of pullovers, this is where alcohol would come into effect. Normally, everybody here surely knows what a... Oh,
we have another caller on the line. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, how you all doing tonight?
Good, and you?
I'm all right. Okay, my question was, say for instance, you caught a DUI, and while you're going to court for your DUI, you end up catching another DUI on top of the first DUI that you had. So basically what I'm saying is you're fighting for two DUI cases at the same time in two different counties. So one case puts you on house arrest, would that be considered as time served or no?
So you're fighting 2 DUIs, and I assume you said one of the counties places you on house arrest. You can get time, especially in that county. That won't be a problem. You will get time credited for the time that you are spent on house arrest if you are sentenced to any actual jail time. I assume both are misdemeanors, hopefully, at this point. But you will get time credit in the county that places you on house arrest. That won't be a problem. Depending on depending on whether or not you get credit for the second county will sort of depend on your lawyer and exactly which county you're in.
So when they say dress in, dress out, what does that consider? I know that means that you go in and they ship you, to jail and then they bring you back. So no probation or nothing. I just have to go with that.
Okay, so by dress in, dress out, generally that means that maybe I was mistaken earlier and you might be charged with a felony. What the term dress in, dress out refers to is if you are going to get sent to a prison, not just a jail, but an actual prison, and the only problem is you already have all the time. The only good thing is you already have all the time that you would need to serve already done either in county or in house arrest. So you will literally go in to get registered, dress in into the prison, and then they will release you the next day. You'd be dressing out. Dress in, dress out means you've already accumulated all the time you've already needed to serve, and so you won't be in prison actually for any extensive period.
So that's the best thing to settle for?
I don't particularly know your case, so I guess I wouldn't be able to answer that. But I guess you should contact your lawyer, and he should a good defense attorney will go through all your options with you and weigh what you are risking, especially if you have all the time, whether or not it only makes sense to take it to trial. But that'll be up to you and your lawyer.
Okay, and thank you for calling. We have another caller on the line. Hello?
Okay, my question is it legal for you to be placed under arrest before they tell you what you're being placed under arrest for?
Yes, to sum it up, it is legal for you to be placed under arrest before they tell you what you're under arrest for. The issue is, let's say the main issue most people would say is that they've been pulled out the car and they've been asked out the car and they haven't been told exactly what they're placed under arrest for. If the cops say read your license plate and know that your plates are suspended and you just told them your name, that's enough. If the cop walks up to your car and sees, i.e. a handgun or alcohol sitting in your car, that's enough. And they don't necessarily have to tell you before they ask you out the car. The rationale being that this person might tend to flee if they know that the officer has already observed them committing crime or know that they've committed a crime.
Okay, and thank you for your call. We have another caller on the line. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, I have a family member who we paid the lawyer to handle his case, but we haven't been able to get in touch with the lawyer for about a week now or so. What should I do to, get him to call us back? Is this something legal action I can do?
Okay, so you've paid a lawyer to represent somebody and they haven't contacted you back. My advice would be obviously just to maybe go to his office and try to talk to him, engage him there. Or, so as far as legal action, obviously he should be at the next court date. Maybe have a sit down and arrange a meeting to discuss contacting with him and keeping in touch and making sure that you and your clients or you and whoever it is that he's supposed to be representing are all on the same page.
Okay, thank you for your call. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is the Cook County Bar Association live on CAN TV. I'm your host, Christina Spires, and this is our guest, Mr. Samuel Jackson III. We are taking legal calls from the community, and if you have any calls or questions or concerns, you can reach us at the number provided below, 312-738-1060.
I believe we were discussing alcohol and how that could get people in trouble with firearms. Okay.
We have another caller on the line. Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, I was calling in and I have a question. So I was wondering, if you have a FOIA card and you have it with you, but you have a handgun inside your vehicle without any bullets, do you still get arrested for that?
Good question. All right, so let's be clear. You have a FOID card, and the gun is inside your vehicle. Now, if it's
Yes.
unloaded, that's a good sign. That's a good sign you won't be charged with a felony at the very least. However, you said it's in the purse.
In the car.
No, I said it was inside the vehicle.
Okay, it's inside the vehicle. If it's in the glove compartment or the trunk, you have no problems whatsoever. You should be pretty much good to go. However, if it's let's say within reach, that might be the only problem. For example, if it's sitting on your lap and you don't have a concealed carry license, that's where there's always some leeway. That's where the legal process kind of take place.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for calling. We have another caller on the line. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Just want to say thank you for taking your time out to do this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
My question is, I wanted to know, when you get pulled over by the police and they search your car, do you have the right to say, I do not permit this search? And if they still ensue the search, is that illegal?
So anytime you're pulled over by the cops, and let's say you have valid license and insurance, and they say they want to search your car, you have the right to not give them consent. You have the right to say, no, I don't want you to search my car. However, the only problem that arises is if they can prove that you've already committed a crime that they can arrest you for. For example, like seatbelt is not a crime that you can be arrested for. That's not the issue. But driving on a suspended license would be a crime that you can be arrested for. Them observing the firearm or alcohol in the car can be reasons. But if they do not have a reason to arrest you at that moment and they ask you to search your car, you have the right to say no. And if they search it afterwards, that is illegal and would be generally taken care of in a motion to suppress by your defense attorney if anything happens to be in the car.
Okay, thank you for your call.
Well, looks like we can't even get to this alcohol and guns. All right, where were we? Legal gun ownership, in case you're just tuning in, is what we're actually discussing. And we were discussing as if you were a legal concealed carry owner and you got pulled over and you were suspected of being under the influence of alcohol. The state of Illinois is choosing to take the route of treating the alcohol violation with the firearm the same as you would treat a DUI. Being such that if they are testing, they may ask that you consent to an alcohol test. If your alcohol is above the legal limit of 0.08, they may place you under arrest and in violation of the Concealed Carry Act. Now, mind you, being a legal gun owner means that this violation would only be a Class B misdemeanor for your first offense, a Class A misdemeanor for your second offense. This is another important reason why you want to have a FOID and concealed carry license if you are, in fact, a person who enjoys firearms, because they significantly reduce the penalties that you would face for any sort of violation. I.e., misdemeanors will most likely be your first charge. For alcohol, especially, or for going on a prohibited place, for a place with a sign that says you can't enter with the firearm. The newest issue is, in fact, going to be medical marijuana. Now that medical marijuana is being issued in the state of Illinois, this area of law with the firearm is improving, not to mention that the medical marijuana card itself is improving. When it first came out, I believe it was only allowed that each year you would have to renew it. When it was just recently expanded, I believe last year into 2020, the new rules dictated that it would be renewable every 3 years. So after the first batch of people, now it's every 3 years. The state of Illinois is taking a more hardline approach in a way, but the law hasn't exactly entirely been settled. Of course, the law doesn't want people to be under the influence of marijuana and having a non-broken down gun with them. That goes understandable, but the rules are treating it in a way that it treats as if it was a DUI as well. There's a test to determine how high your THC levels is, and if you consent to this test and you are above a certain level, they will believe that you are under the influence of marijuana, and they can charge you with, in fact, a misdemeanor. Now, mind you, had you not had a FOID or concealed carry, you would be charged with a felony automatically for any type of illegal drug in your car. So, to wrap up in short, legal gun ownership requires a FOID card and then a concealed carry license. If you are between the ages of 18 and 21 and you do not have a felony and you enjoy being around or near firearms, I highly recommend that you obtain one of these two things, particularly the FOI card itself. $10, a picture, and a state ID. That's all that's required, and that could be the difference between you being charged with a misdemeanor or a felony. City of Chicago has a lot of issues with firearms right now, and to prevent you from being in this criminal justice system, I suggest you get a FOI card if you intend to be around guns. Also, avoid walking around with alcohol and drugs in your system if you have a gun too. To wrap up shortly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson. And if you have any more questions regarding legal representation, we encourage you to visit the Cook County Bar Association website at www.thecookcountybar.org. Again, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.